thank you very much for giving us the time to interview you. Welcome to Barcelona again. First, I want to ask you about your last record.
Yeah.
Keep Planting Flowers. Album's message. What is the inspiration behind this album?
I think one of the biggest messages behind the album is just kind of resilience that we need as like humanity through some hard times, and just kind of like no matter how bad things get, just persevering. I think.
Yeah, just trying to fight just constant negativity, just trying to keep as optimistic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So I guess it's really, really personal. So it's kind of difficult to,
Yeah. I think
to show all the stuff you got, the personal stuff, and then you put it into a record.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think it's something that like people can take their own personal inspiration from it. I guess everyone has their own like hardships that they've gone through and their own things that they need to persevere through. So yeah, I think it's cool in that way.
And how was the process of writing this last album?
The process was, I think it was very creative and just sort of like improv in a way. We didn't really set out to write the album itself. Like we had Adam join our band, and I think at that point when he joined, we were just sort of trying to still get by and play shows and just have fun. And there was like more of a creative spark when he joined, and we got really excited to get about writing new stuff, and just kind of unfolded from it.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
So tracks like Severed Forever balance intensity and reflection. So what emotions do you want your listeners to feel?
I mean, whatever emotions that they need to feel listening to it. Yeah, there's plenty of angry songs, and it's important to feel angry, but there's also plenty of songs about kind of unpacking trauma. And if you kind of need to feel something cathartic while listening to it, then I hope they can feel that.
Yeah.
There's like several collaborations in this album with Scott Vogel and Who Needs in the song Who Needs Who, and also with Connie Gabar. Sorry, it's difficult to for it's super difficult for a Spanish girl to pronounce that.
Yeah.
In other song. So what did they bring to the song? So it's like.
I mean, I think in terms of Connie, like I think that was such a unique aspect that she brought to our music in general, and I can just tell from comments that people have been leaving, like it's a fresh take on Stick to Your Guns, for sure. And I think it's been, I think people have been very excited about that song. And obviously Scott from Terror, he's been on a couple of Stick to Your Guns songs before. I think it's, he's obviously just as good. It's amazing to have him as well. But it's a little more in line with like what Stick to Your Guns has done in the past. But I think Connie definitely, just brought a completely unique like version of the genre to our bands.
Yeah,
people have been really receptive to that, which is really cool.
I wanted to ask you about this current tour and collaboration. So you're like, there are several bands like Bodysnatcher, Elwood Stray, and No Cure.
Yeah.
So
playing right now.
yeah. So how did the idea of this tour came up? I mean, sharing the stage with those bands.
I mean, I think we were all fans of No Cure because they're just kind of on the outside of what is currently like really, really, really hype in the hardcore scene in America. Like they're a part of it, but they're also just outside enough where they're these little weirdo kids from Alabama and they're just so angry, but they're still a straight edge band too. So it just kind of like, we all kind of looked at them like, oh, we can relate to them because Stick to Your Guns is also a band that's kind of been on the outside of what is hype at sometimes. Yeah. So that one made sense.
That's cool.
That one was pretty easy.
Yeah, and then I mean, we played a show with Elwood Stray in Germany before, and I mean, it seems like they've been generating some hype here, and so obviously coming to do a European tour kind of makes sense to have like a European band that's maybe going to draw a little bit of a different audience, especially compared to like No Cure, which has been super cool to see. Like you see No Cure play, see Elwood Stray play, and then Bodysnatcher. Obviously, they've been generating a lot of hype, and I think when we had the option to bring them as like direct support, it was kind of like a no-brainer for us to just like out of the tour. So I think it's just a unique package, which we've always tried to do. We've always tried to have Being as an Ocean and Straight from the Path and First Blood, just kind of make this like unique package that gets people excited to come out and see. So yeah.
So the reception so far has been so good.
Yes.
I mean, you mentioned before that you were in France yesterday, so I guess the reception of the bands and of course, and then your new music as well. So how was the reception of the?
The reception I think has been better. At least speaking for myself, I think it's been better than I could have imagined, and I think we all agree with that. People have been very kind, and something that's kind of cool is we've been on this tour playing, I think, 5 or 6 songs from the album, which, I mean, we've done some albums where you come out and play 1 song or 2 songs, and they're still not going over quite well yet. People are still a little slow to get there, so the fact that we've been playing that many and they've been going over great, it's like, super cool.
So tonight, then I guess that we can expect like a mix of, like all of your albums, but especially a lot of songs from your new album. That's really fantastic. That's the plan. Okay, that's fantastic. You've been like touring with bands like Race Against, Parkway Drive. How was it? I mean, there's like any like curious story about the touring or?
Well, the Rise Against one's a little sad because we had a tour with them lined up that was a full US tour, and then that's when COVID happened, and that tour got pulled, and we were disappointed. And then after COVID, we got another Rise Against tour. It was like 2 weeks long, and then some of them got COVID on that tour, so like half the tour got canceled. So it ended up being maybe like 5 shows with Rise Against. So that was kind of crazy, but we got to also play some smaller shows with Pennywise on that tour. And that was just like super unique experience. And I mean, everyone was so cool. Rise Against fans were super welcoming. Parkway Drive, we also had a COVID tour that got canceled as well. I think that was in like small arenas and stuff, and we were very excited. But personally, I love watching Parkway Drive play. They have crazy like theatrical things happening on stage now, like the drums spin in a circle and fire and all this stuff. And I think they've always been super cool to us, and we've done maybe 2 tours with them, and just seeing like the boundaries that they push and seeing the drummer just going in a circle is like, it's insane.
Which other bands would you like to play along with? Because I mean, Pennywise and Parkway Drive again, they're pretty cool. You're pretty cool as well, so it's an honor for them as well to play with you. So yeah.
I mean, I personally grew up as like AFI was one of my favorite bands of all time. So I think for me, I still hold on to the hope that one day we'll get an AFI tour. I don't know how likely it is, but I don't know if Adam has
I don't know. There's a lot of crazy like metalcore tours that we could do. Like we've played with Killswitch Engage before. We played with Killswitch, but if we could do a full like an actual Killswitch Engage tour, that would be pretty up there. Yeah, for sure. That would be a really, really cool one.
That sounds good. I will go there for sure. So hopefully you
make it happen.
Yeah, we make it happen. You make it happen, and you come to Spain. With Killswitch Engage. You play in festivals in small venues. So what is your? I mean, I guess that the ambience is kind of different, and the atmosphere is kind of different. But I guess. What do you prefer? I mean, but sometimes like small venues is like you are really closer to the audience.
Yeah, I think one of these. It's an interesting question, but I think like the energy of the crowd can be the same no matter what. Like if it's a big festival, like I think about Resurrection Fest in Spain, and like that's one that's like a huge festival. But we've always gone there, and like the energy has been so crazy. So it almost feels like an intimate, small show somehow, even though it's so like I love doing that. And I also love playing small club shows as long as people are, because we can play small club shows that maybe are half full and people are just kind of checking you out. And it's like, it's not the most exciting thing, but I think just as long as the energy is good, it's awesome.
That's a really good answer. I mean, sometimes like in the smaller crowds are really crazy and feeling it. Yeah.
And sometimes you play a fest that has tons of people coming to check you out and you're excited, but then they're also just kind of like with their beers and like, okay, it's interesting. And you're also like, I don't want to be up here anymore. So.
Do you know any metalcore progressive bands from Spain?
Ooh, that's a great question. Honestly, I have
I
no idea. If you can fill us in.
Yeah, okay, no, yes, yes.
We toured with the bands. I don't know if they're still around. Who are some like of the bigger?
But we had plenty of them. Like
Yeah.
there's one that is called Anchor. That's
Anchor?
Anchor, yeah. It's
Okay.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
So how do you see Stick to Your Guns fitting in the evolving hardcore scene? Maybe because the scene has been changed in the past few years, especially with social media. That the hardcore was more underground before, and that's becoming more mainstream. But that's a good thing. I mean, how do you think Stick to Your Guns fits in that scene?
Yeah, I think Stick to Your Guns fits in by kind of not fitting in. Because Stick to Your Guns just kind of doesn't really care about following what a trend is. Or at least since I've joined, that's what it seems like. So it seems to me like, in a way, Stick to Your Guns is still staying relevant. Because we did a tour recently that was Bane and Dare and Desmadre and like a bunch of hardcore bands that we typically would kind of just get stared at. But we had great sets every night on that tour. So I think there's still always is a place for us wherein Stick to Your Guns is just a hardcore band. Even though we sound different from other bands, we're just still going to keep playing, whether people are kind of into it or not. We got to kind of make them into it, you know?
Yeah, I think obviously, like you say, it's gotten so much more mainstream, and you see festivals that have really exploded, and we haven't had a chance to really play some of these places because we also don't know if we belong there, but it would be cool to try to play some of these festivals and just see, but yeah, I don't know. We've always just been singing too much. And,
So in the end,
too pretty sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
What matters is the music, no? It's like what you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been along for a long time as a band. So how do you think your sound has been evolving through the years? I mean, if you could compare Keep Planting Your Flowers with your previous albums.
Yeah, I think, for people that have followed us since the beginning, we were like a deathcore band. I was in the band. Like, it was wildly different. And then I think, in 2010 or whatever, we did Hope Division. We kind of started to formulate our more modern sounds. And I think we've just, we haven't stagnated, but I think we found a core, and we tried to just change some things and evolve a little bit. And I think Keep Planting Flowers is maybe the most confident and kind of self-assured album we've done. And I think production wise and songwriting wise, it's all kind of fell into place. Whereas maybe some of our more recent albums, we tried some different things and the production didn't quite match what we wanted to do, or the songwriting didn't match what, I think this is just the most complete album.
If you can talk about your gear that you're using, like pedals or things like that, could you recommend?
Well, as a bass player, I use Quad Vortex, the Neural DSP is the brand. I think they're becoming very popular now amongst musicians, especially just for ease of use and travel. And I'm a huge supporter of what they do. They make incredible sounding gear. I also play old Gibson basses, which they don't make anymore. But in the 70s, Gibson was making awesome stuff. I can't comment on what they've been doing in modern times, but I don't know about Adams.
I play Pisces cymbals. Highly recommend Pisces cymbals. They're a great company to work with. They've always taken care of me from day one, which is really, really nice because it's really hard being a drummer because you break everything. Just typical Promark sticks, Evans drum heads. That's about it.
Do you have any like crazy story about you when you're on the road?
This band's got a lot.
A lot of stories.
There's a lot of them.
What's something that happened recently that's
We almost flipped our van because a deer was taking a nap on the road.
No.
We were driving, and there was a deer in the middle of the road, but Josh and I were in the front seat. Josh was driving, I was front seat, and we were just looking at each other talking. But the funniest part is that our merch girl, Mia, was sitting in the front bench just like this, and she thought that we saw the deer, but we didn't see it. So she didn't say anything because she thought that Josh was being crazy Josh. And then she panics and shrieks and cuts the wheel. And we missed the deer. But then afterwards, we found out Mia told us, like, oh, yeah, I knew that the deer was there. I just didn't tell you guys.
Yeah. That's crazy. How do you see tear guns in the next 20 years? Or
20 years?
20 years? Because, okay, that's
No,
10 years. Yeah.
Man, that's a great question. I think one thing that's been so exciting, like in the last years, like this new album, has definitely been like such a nice spark to the band, and it's given us a lot of inspiration. And I think, like, we're a band that we have goals, and we definitely are just trying to like reinvent ourselves and do things. But we write music that we love, and we love to play it. And I think that as long as we can just keep like pushing on our message and fighting for a better future, I hope that we can just still be coming to Razzmatazz and having fun and playing all these festivals and stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully in 20 years I will hear and having the same interview. But yeah. Like, so if you want to add anything else.
I mean, shout out Spain. As I told you earlier, one of my favorite places to just be, especially in Europe. Shout out Barcelona. Shout out Neural. Shout out Heisty.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just shout out to everyone in Spain that supports us.
Cool. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.